All right, everybody. I think we are slightly over the time now. Whoever is still interested in this virtual competition, I think will definitely join along the way. But we have a lot of stuff to do today, so I will start. So welcome, good morning, and good morning from Eastern Time, USA, to our F1TENTH virtual competition at this year's IROS 2021. Today, on the 30th of September, we will have our race day where we will show you the highlights and the individual competitions we had in our head-to-head racing in our virtual competition. So we had this year our 9th F1TENTH Autonomous Grand Prix at IROS 2021 in Prague. So IROS is almost over. The last day is tomorrow. Today will be the award ceremony afterwards. So whoever wins today is welcome to join afterwards at the official IROS award ceremony. So this year, it was a little bit different because Corona is still around. You probably know that. And we had an in-person competition where people could travel to Prague and race with their F1TENTH vehicle. And we had the virtual competition. That's why you are all here today. So in the next hour, we will just have a short overview about F1TENTH and our upcoming events. I think that's the most important part. We will then have a deep dive in our virtual Grand Prix and discuss a little bit what is the most difficult things about autonomous racing. We will then show the race highlights and afterwards the podium ceremony and finishing with the acknowledgements. But first of all, again, F1TENTH. You probably heard about that. You're part of F1TENTH now. And we think that the F1TENTH community is still too small. So we hope everybody that contributed to this virtual Grand Prix will contribute later on too. We will have a lot more competitions. We will still expanding our vehicle development. You see here, that's an image from one of the in-person competition with a lot of cars. We will still evolve the cars, have a generation 2 of the car. We'll publish more code. We have now more simulation environments. So for example, the gym is purely 2D. We are moving on to a 3D environment. So a lot is happening in autonomous driving and a lot is happening in F1TENTH too. So everything you saw today is purely about the vehicle, is purely about the competition in the virtual environment. In the virtual world, we have a lot of potential because it's easy for us to just run the code. It's easy for us to debug, and it's easy for us to test different materials. But when it comes to real world application, stuff is getting a little bit more complicated. We hope that our F1TENTH vehicle will help you with that. What you currently see here is our first generation vehicle with the old NVIDIA TX2. We move now on to a more evolved vehicle, and we are moving on to an even better vehicle by the end of the year, which will be even cheaper and is offering camera possibilities. I think F1TENTH is not only about racing, F1TENTH is also about learning. What you can see here is some experiences from our university, where you see the people racing and learning how to program an autonomous vehicle. That's the video here is from another university, and you see the students have the possibility to actively learn about autonomous driving with their car. So F1TENTH is not only a hobby or is not only just some racing, it's about learning autonomous driving as a student. But in the end, we want to bring together the community. And this year at IROS 2021, we had the hybrid Grand Prix. We have the possibility that people race against each other in person. We have the possibility that people race against each other just in a simulation environment. We had these events before at IROS. Last year we did a completely virtual simulation, and the other events before that were purely in-person competition. So now IROS 2021 is almost over. Yesterday we had the in-person Grand Prix, today is the virtual Grand Prix, but now is the question, what's next? So please note down these dates, because next year in 2022, we have the so-called CPS IoT Week in Milan. This is co-organized with our friends from the University of Modena, and we will have there both an in-person and virtual competition. And this will be by the beginning of May 2022. And then what's more important than that, sorry, CPS guys, is next year's ICRA 2022, because that's in Philadelphia. That's our hometown of the University of Pennsylvania. And at the end of May, from May 23rd to May 27th, we will have both an in-person and a virtual competition again. So please note down these dates. I think next year in May 2022, traveling is a lot easier than this year. And I think we will see a lot of people there in Philadelphia. And of course, the in-person competition is a little bit more fun because you can talk to other people and you can see the cars real crashing and still maybe going forward. But we know that the virtual competition is giving people around the world a lot of possibilities. It's also very cheap. You don't have to invest much money. But we think that we want to have both there, and we are welcome everybody next year in Philadelphia for ICRA 2022. So now everybody is here because we had our virtual Grand Prix in F1TENTH. So the question is, what makes autonomous driving difficult, but what makes autonomous racing even more difficult? So when you think about Formula One, you have very expensive cars that drive at high speeds and high accelerations. So therefore, crashing is very expensive and very, very dangerous. So we are in an environment where you overtake very narrowly the other vehicle, where you drive close to each other, and which makes it very difficult to drive completely autonomously. So what we think racing is about, or especially autonomous racing is about, is balancing safety and performance. So you as a autonomous driving developer, you have to figure out what is the right amount of risk you can take. For example, you see here an overtaking maneuver, Sebastian Vettel against Fernando Alonso. They're driving in the chicanes and they driving close to each other and trying to overtake each other. They give themselves some space. Of course, they are very advanced and experienced drivers, but they know the limits of their car and they can go head to head. And we think that autonomous racing and racing in particular is a trade-off between balancing safety and performance. But not only that, when you think about Formula One, the strategies are secret. So not many people have insights in Formula One. They don't have any insights in how the cars are getting developed, what the strategy of the team is, what are the specialities the car is having to be better on the racetrack and faster on the racetrack than the other vehicles. So when we think about autonomous racing, we see cars that have to figure out the unknown of the track, that have to figure out the unknown of the opponent's vehicles. You see here, for example, two cars driving against each other with a trajectory planning. And you want to plan a path that's reliable, that's fast, and that's secure, because you don't want to crash, but you still want to overtake. So you have a lot of things to figure out to have, in the end, a car that's, first of all, driving autonomously, and second of all, driving fast. So this environment has a lot of potential. a lot of potential from a development point of view, a lot of potential from a research point of view, but also potential from a fun point of view, because seeing these cars driving here is a lot of fun. And I think everybody has a good feeling when he sees his car driving and making some cool overtaking maneuver afterwards. That was the topic of our virtual Grand Prix, and that was the idea. We wanted to give you a simulation environment with some good and fast LiDAR simulation, with some good and fast physical vehicle physics simulation. So this simulation environment was, of course, purely in 2D, but it gives you a very easy environment to work with. So Billy Hongui-Seng, who is here today, he's the main developer of this gym environment. He put a lot of effort in that to bring it onto a level where it's fast, where it's reliable, and where you can easily integrate your path planner, your object detection based on LiDAR, and your controller afterwards. So we had a lot of feedback from the teams all around the world. You can see here, that's a list of the participating teams we had. That's the teams that subscribed for this race. We have teams from Asia, we have teams from Europe, we have teams from America. So teams all over the world wanted to participate in this team, which is very, very cool to see that F1TENTH, or especially this virtual Grand Prix, is getting a lot of feedback from all around the world. That's the teams that subscribe to the competition. Not all of them submitted in the end. That's totally fine, but seeing the interest and at least trying it to be part in that, I think is very, very important. So we choose the so-called Sochi Autodrome as a main racetrack for this year's competition. This was mainly because at the last weekend, 4 days ago, we had the Formula One event in the Sochi Autodrome, and we thought it might be very, very cool to have a similar competition on the same racetrack as the big Formula One cars. So the Sochi Autodrome is quite a big racetrack with 19 turns in total. We have 2 long straight lines and a few chicanes and a few hairpins inside this track, which makes it quite difficult to drive here. We have just mainly 2 opportunities for an overtaking, which you can see here on a straight line between turn 1 and turn 2, as well as between turn 11 and turn 14. So the other track parts are quite difficult and narrow to navigate there. We will see how the teams did afterwards, but these are the main overtaking zones. But that's just a high-level 2D overview. Let's go a little bit more into detail and let's see what Sochi Autodrome is providing for us here.
Round 15 brings us to Russia and the track at Sochi, which debuted in 2014. The 18 corners and 2 long straights add up to quite a challenging 5.85 kilometers of racetrack with a fast average speed of 212 kilometers an hour. There's not a huge amount of elevation change. There are a couple of overtaking places into turn 2 and turn 13 and plenty of grip from the track surface. Let's take...
Yeah, that was the 3D overview of Sochi. As stated before, we have 2 main areas where we can overtake the other vehicle. And that's where we think this is a very, very interesting racetrack for everybody, and where we might see a lot of crashes here. Okay. 1 week ago, you had the possibility to submit your qualification results. These qualification results were mainly for the seeding in the event, and were mainly therefore to identify who is racing against whom, because the fastest car is racing against the slowest car in the head-to-head race. We had in total 17 submissions. So 17 teams handed in a submission for the qualification race. And I will just give a short overview of the teams. And the order is exactly from 1st place to 17th place. So we have Team ICE from Gyeongsang National University, Team DS Play from Korea University, number place 3 is QC Pass from Rice University. We have Forza PBL from ETH Zurich. We have Tian Racer from Tianbot Robotics. We have place 6 Stony Brook University from Stony Brook University. We have Udebon Racing from University at Buffalo. We have Team Rail from Kwangwon University. We have on place 9 UCF, University of Central Florida. We have GCU, Jersey University. We have HM Car from UNIST. We have F1TENTH from the Memorial University of Newfoundland. We have KU, the University of Kansas. We have VNU, the Vanderbilt University. You will see they had a different team name here, Paulius Stankaitis. We have U of SC, USRAL, University of Southern Carolina. We have place 16 SK, 2 people from UNIS and 12 Path. And we have the last place, our friend Gerhardi from Driveshaft Nissan Automobile Technical College. So the first 3 places went to Team ICE with lap time of 78.76 seconds for 2 laps. And I have to admit, that's quite fast. So it's 38 seconds for 1 lap. And that's very, very, very fast. And we see here, for example, Team DS Play is 10 seconds behind that from Korea University with a lap time of 88.42 seconds. And third place is Team QC Pass from Rice University with 19.46 seconds. So we see here a difference between 10 seconds, and that means 5 seconds on 1 lap. And as an experienced F1TENTH racer and Formula One viewer, I can tell you 5 seconds is a universe in racing. So yeah, we see Team ICE is crushing everybody here with their lap time. I would say, let's see how they did in the final races, because now it's time for us to move to the race highlights. So because of the time today, and because not all of the races were super fun and super interesting, we decided today to show you only the race highlights. So Billy and I had an in-depth look in all the races and just picked out the one that's very, very important. We will give you after each round a detailed overview of what's happened, and we will provide you with all the video of all the races so you can have a look at them afterwards too. But for today, and to make this a little bit more interesting, we will focus on the race highlights only. And I would like to have used the time, if one of the team participants is here, to give a short interview or a short explanation, maybe to see what happened with their code. So I hope everybody's excited. Let's start with the race. So the round 1 was just one race. It was Gerhardi against SK, because we had not an even competition here, because we had to do one race more. So this person is moving to the next round. So perhaps you remember, Gerhard was last place. He had the slowest car in the qualifying, but it seems like that he was crashing SK here. What we saw in the races is that Gerhard wins both 2 races. And that's only because SK was crashing into the wall 2 times. And Gerhard, even you had the slowest car, you were still overtaking them and winning both races. So round number 1 was quite fast, and Gerhard took home 2 wins here and is moving on to the next round. In the next round, we have 8 races, or 8 heads up in total. ICE against Gerhard, Rail versus UCF, Forza PBL against KU, the Tian Racer against F1TENTH. We have DS Play against USRL. Kartik Dantu is Udebon. Sorry, Kartik, we just had your former name here. Versus GCU, we had QC Pass against Paulius Stankaitis. Stony Brook University versus HM Car. So let's see how the teams did here. So the first race highlight we want to show you is Rail against UCF. So the card which is listed here, I'm sorry, the car which is listed here in the front, which means rail, is always the car that is on P1 position. I just repeat that. Rail in this case is the car that is on P1 and is therefore the violet car, and the darker car is in this case UCF. So let's see what happened in this race. Rail is starting from P1. And we see both cars are starting very well, and Rail is taking the lead and UCF is driving behind them. So UCF is struggling a little bit here behind, and Rail is going fast here. And we see Rail is driving and taking the lead, maintaining the gap and increasing the gap to UCF. And it doesn't seem like that UCF is recovering from the struggle in the beginning. Yeah, UCF is still behind. And we see that Rail is going into the last turn, and Rail is finishing here the first in the first lap, and therefore Rail is taking home the first win of this competition. The next race highlight we wanted to show you is QC Pass versus Van New. QC Pass is in the lead, is the violet car here, and Van New is the darker car here. Let's see what happened in this race. So QC Pass is in the front, is taking the lead, and unfortunately, QC Pass is crashing. Okay, what happened here? We can watch that again. I think that's very interesting because QC Pass, you had the lead here. You just had to go straight. So let's watch this again. QC Pass is driving and seems like struggling. And Van New, Paulis Stankaitis, is, passing them and therefore winning this race in particular. I'm not sure if somebody is from QC Pass here and wants to give a short comment on what happened here, then you're welcome to talk now. No? Okay, no worries about that. If somebody's joining from QC Pass, we would like to hear what happened here. So the last highlight in round number 2 is Stony Brook University versus HM Car. We have Stony Brook University starting on P1 and HM Car starting on P2. So we now saw if you're on P1, you can have the big start. You can start right away. You can go straight. You don't have to take care about overtaking. So let's see what happened in this race. So Stony Brook is taking the lead, and Stony Brook seems like it's crashing into HM Car. What happened here? Let's watch this again because that was very fast. Let's focus on HM Car this time, because you see HM Car is starting from behind and wants to do the overtaking maneuver, but Stony Brook is trying to block them, unfortunately. I'm not sure. Is someone from Stony Brook here?
I'm here, yeah.
Oh, Stanley, hi. Stanley, what happened with your car? Did you want to crash the other one on purpose?
I think in this case, it was trying to follow maybe the race line, not taking into account the other car. So the other car just started, I guess, faster than we did. So
yeah,
they got in front.
Yeah, it seems like, but it seems like that your car still tried to block the other one. Yeah, unfortunately, that is causing an accident, and we had to give the win here to HM Car in this case. Okay, that's the race highlights from round number 1. I just want to give you the overview who has won the races. So we have ICE versus Gerhardi. So unfortunately, again, ICE is crashing into the walls twice, and Gerhardi is moving into the next round. So Gerhardi, again, you were the slowest car in the qualifying, but you're moving on to round 3. That's awesome, because your car seems to be very reliable. We have Rail versus UCF. So Rail is winning both rounds, no crashes, nothing at all. Rail is overtaking UCF and winning, therefore, both rounds. And we have Forza BBL versus KU. Unfortunately, we saw a draw in the first round. So Forza PPL is crashing into the wall when it's behind KU, and it wins when it's in the front. We will probably see that a lot today. In the breaker, like in the tiebreaker, so we did a third race. That's why you see here 2 against 1. Forza PBL again crashes into the wall, and KU is finishing the race. We have T1 Racer versus F1TENTH. We saw a draw in the first 2 because T1 Racer crashes into the wall when in the first race, and T1 Racer wins the other one. So in the tiebreaker, T1 Racer is seated higher because of the qualification rounds and wins from starting from P1. We see DS play here against UCRL. We see DS play is faster in both races and is therefore moving on to the next round and winning both of the races. QC Pass versus Venue. QC Pass is crashing into the wall in both races. Sorry, I forgot Udebon Racing versus GCU. Udebon Racing versus GCU, we saw a draw in the first 2 laps, in the first 2 runs, because Udebon crashed into the wall in one race and it wins the other one without crashing, starting from P1. And in the tiebreaker, Udebon wins because it's the faster car here. The last race, we just saw it, Stony Brook University. I'm sorry, Stanley, you lost both races because your car is crashing into the wall in the first race and then crashing into HM car in the second race. We just saw that in the video. So, folks, that was round number 2. Again, unfortunately, we will not show all the races because some of them, for example, Rail versus UCF, where Rail was just a faster car, are a little bit boring for us today. So now it's time for round number 3. It's our next round is having Gerhard versus Rail, KU versus T1 Racer, DS Play versus Udebon Racing, Paulius Stankaitis, Venue, and against HM Car. So let's see what kind of highlights we have prepared for you here. So the first highlight we wanted to show is DS Play versus Udebon Racing. And we see DS Play being in P1, the violet car, and Udebon starting from behind. And what we see here is Udebon is trying to overtake, but DS Play is making the move to the right side. So that is a very, very difficult situation here. And Billy and I had to watch that a lot. I will just replay it for you. Perhaps afterwards you can watch it in slow-mo. And it seems like that Udebon is going straight away, is searching for the gap, but DS Play is making the move to the right and trying to block. But unfortunately, Udebon is too far ahead. So the blocking maneuver is not a blocking maneuver, it's more like a crashing maneuver. So we decided here, unfortunately, sorry DS Play, that this is causing a collision, causing a critical situation, and we had to give the win to Udebon Racing here. Again, we watched it a lot. Unfortunately, we cannot give you the advantage here. It seems like that you wanted to block the other car, but Udebon was far too close to you. So this is causing a collision. The next race highlight we have prepared for you is Gerhardi versus Rail. Again, Gerhard, you were the slowest car. Let's see what you can do this time. Gerhard is starting in the front, and we have Rail starting on P2. And again, the car that's starting in the front is normally the fastest car. Let's see what happened here. And it seems like that Rail just overtook Gerhard right in the beginning and took the lead. And yeah, Gerhard, your car is a little bit slow here. I'm not sure, Gerhard, are you here? Are you here to give a short comment on your vehicle behavior? Okay, Gerhard is not here. we watch it again. Yeah, sorry, you got sacked initially by the start, and therefore Rail is the faster car and wins therefore both races. The last race highlight we have from round number 3 is KU versus Tian Racer. We see KU here starting as the violet car, starting on P1. We see Tian Racer starting in the back. So let's see what happened in this race in particular. So we see Tian Racer going into the lead, but KU is trying to search for the gap. Oh my God, that's very unfortunate, because it seems like, we replay that again, it seems like KU is searching for the gap. I will stop that here. You see that KU is taking the advantage of the slipstream and wants to move to the inside. And you see here on the right side, there is a little gap, and KU wants to go for that, but then is crashing into the back of Tian Racer, because Tian Racer is closing the door here, and KU, you had to back up a little bit here. I see that you wanted to go for the gap, and I think that's a very bold move, but unfortunately the gap was too narrow and Tian Racer is closing the door here. You see Tian Racer is moving to the right. Seems like they're anticipating the move. I'm not sure, is someone from KU here to give a short comment on what happened here in this situation? We can watch it again.
Oh, Johannes, I think this is KU in front and Tian Racer crashed into the.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right. Okay, then everything I said, we just flip around. Then Tian Racer, is somebody here?
Hello, Johannes.
Hi, you want to give a short comment on what happened here on your algorithm?
Yeah, because we follow the gap, so we will try to find the longest gap. So as long as there's a gap, so we will try to overtaking. Yeah, but I think because there's no lane, but if there's lane, then yeah, I don't know, the PO is changing his lane. So yeah, I'm thinking like this. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, we Billy and I had the discussion, and we probably thought you're going for the follow the gap and searching for the gap. But nonetheless, that doesn't mean you have a bad code, because you won 2 of the 3 rounds. So let's go over it again. We see Gerhardi versus Rail. Rail was in both of the races faster. We saw that Rail is overtaking right in the beginning. And we see KU versus Tian Racer. We had a tie in the first 2 races. So we saw Tian Racer crashing into the back FKU. We just saw that in the video. But in the tiebreaker, Tian Racer is seeded higher and therefore wins 2 out of 3 races. We have DS Play versus Udebon Racing. We have the tie in the first 2 races. DS Play swerves in front of Udebon and causes the collision, but wins the other race when it is in front. And we had the tiebreaker with Udebon starting on P1 and therefore winning the second race. So then you
sorry. It's DS Play was in front, and you see the same thing in the tiebreaker where it's tries to block Autobahn, but it's way too slow because Autobahn's already right next to it. So swerving again into it. And we have the last race, Polios versus HM Car. We see a tie in the first 2 races. HM Car is crashing and Polios finished to win the first one. HM Car wins the second one. In the tiebreaker, we see that HM Car is faster to finish the 2 laps. And so we have our semifinal, Rail against Tian Racer and Udebon Racing versus HM Car. So we're moving on to the semifinal round, which means whoever wins that is moving on to the finale. So the race highlight we wanted to show you here is Udebon Racing versus HM Car, where Udebon is in the front and HM Car is in the back. And let's see what happened here. So Udebon starting, and unfortunately, HM Car is giving away the chance of moving into the finale. That's very unfortunate because it seems like HM car had a very good start and then for some reason just decided to crash into the wall. I mean, that's autonomous driving. We maybe never know what the robot was thinking, but HM car, are you here to give a short comment on your vehicle behavior?
Yes.
Yeah. What happened here?
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
As a trajectory, we use this spline curve. Maybe we find the disparity point of result data which can be obstacles. Then we mirror this point about track reference to use this transformed point as a control point of this spline curve. But in this case, maybe there are some errors with control points, and it makes strange. Maybe it makes strange trajectory.
Yeah, that seems like that it's trying to follow a trajectory and then deciding to go to the left. Yeah, that's very unfortunate, I think, because you had a very good start here and maybe had the chance to overtake Udebon along the way. Yeah, that was our race highlight from our semi-finale. And I don't want to make more tension here. And we move on to the second highlight of the semi-finale. We have Tian Racer versus Rail. We have Tian Racer here starting in the front, that's the violet car. We have Rail starting in second, PP2. And let's see what happened in this race. So we see Tian Racer going into the front and Rail starting behind. It seems like that Rail is trying to close the gap, and Rail is going into turn one and crashing. Oh my God, that's very, 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 very unfortunate here. We watch that again. So Tian Racer definitely having the lead, having the free space here, can go full send. And Rail, it seems like Rail is struggling here again. And Rail is going into turn one with a small drift and then hitting the wall. I'm not sure if somebody is from Rail here. Do you have a short comment for us? What happened? Because that seems like, yeah? You have a short comment?
This is feel ashamed.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here, Rail.
Yeah, hi, how's it going?
Very unfortunate situation.
Yeah, it seems to, yeah, you're closing the gap here. We saw that you may be going for the overtaking maneuver and then you're crashing in turn number two.
Yeah. I have no way to talk about this situation.
Okay, so maybe it was the AI who decided to do something stupid here. We want to put it that way. Okay, no worries. Thank you very much for being here today. It was very fun to watch because, yeah, we thought that is going to be a very interesting race. And Rail, you see, you're very close to Tian Racer and you're struggling here a little bit. And then, yeah, going into turn two, you're crashing right into the wall. But nevertheless, no worries about that. So that was the race highlight of the semi-finale. And the decision was as following. We saw that the highlight Rail versus Tian Racer, both ties in the first two races. So both cars avoided the opponent when they are behind, but they're crashing into the wall when trying to avoid. In the tiebreaker, Tian Racer finishing first and no crash at all. And Tian Racer wins and is the faster car and therefore moving into the finale as our first component. And then in the second semi-finale, we see Udebon Racing versus HM car. Again, a tie in the first two races. HM car wins when it's in the front and causing a collision from behind. In the tiebreaker, HM car causes again a collision when starting from behind, and therefore Udebon Racing wins and is moving into the finale. That means we have Tian Racer versus Udebon Racing in our grand finale at this year's virtual Grand Prix. And we have the fight over the bronze match rail versus HM car. So because that is the finale, we decided to show you the complete race here. And we wanted to give you the full experience this time. Just Billy, double check. Can you still see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I made the big screen. Let's go for finale round number 1. We see Tian Racer in the front and Udebon in P2. Let's go. So we see Tian Racer going straight away, taking the advantage of P1, and we see Udebon Racing still behind. It seems like that Tian Racer is the faster car here, but Udebon Racing is not giving up. We see both cars driving very, very stable around the corners. We don't see any big drifts here or instabilities on the car, but it seems like the Tian Racer is the faster car and it's increasing the gap. But Udebon Racing is still behind. It doesn't seem that the gap is too big. Yeah, I mean, Udebon Racing, you have to drive faster here to still catch them, but Tian Racer is driving very, very stable and very, very reliable. The gap is now almost a quarter of the track, which is quite big from a racing perspective. That's going to be very, very narrow if you want to still close the gap here. Tian Racer still going fast. Tian Racer struggled in the section a little bit, but going into the chicane and having 2 turns left and 1 turn left. And Tian Racer wins number 1 of the races in the finale. So that's first win for Tian Racer versus Udebon Racing in the finale. And now let's have a look into the second race. Now, Udebon Racing is in the front and we have Tian Racer in the back. So remember, folks, when you're starting in the front, you always have the advantage. So let's start the second race in the finale. And we see, sorry, am I in the right one?
I don't think you advanced the slide.
Yeah, this one is the right, correct? Yeah.
This one is the right one.
Yeah, correct. Sorry. So we have Udebon Racing in P1 and we have Tian Racer in the back. So let's start this race. And we see Tian Racer passing Udebon right in the beginning on the start-finish line and going straight away and taking the lead. So it seems like that the Tian Racer is a very, very reliable and fast car here. But the race is not over. Tian Racer is taking the lead and increasing the gap. Both cars are still reliable driving. Oh, okay, Tian Racer is struggling here in this section, but going into the chicane, which is the most difficult section of the track, going into the last 2 turns and finishing lap 1. Udebon Racing still here. Don't forget that. If you want to finish first, you have to finish first. And Tian Racer, yeah, is increasing the gap. It seems like that Tian Racer is taking home the win this time and maybe being the F110th champion in the 9th Grand Prix. So we're going into the difficult section for Tian Racer again. And oh my God, okay, Tian Racer crashed. Sorry, guys, it seems like your car is struggling in the section a lot and you're crashing. But what is Udebon Racing doing? I mean, they're still in the race and they can still win here and they passing the crashed Tian Racer car, going into the chicane and just having 2 turns left and therefore taking the win home for the second race in our finale. I mean, does it get any more exciting than that? because we are having now our final race in this Grand Prix. Again, this is our tiebreaker, which means the car that is seated faster in the competition is going into the lead. That means Tian Racer is starting on P1 and with the Udebon Racing starting on P2. That's the final race, folks. Let's see what's happening here. Tian Racer is always going fast. Udebon struggling a little bit, but can close the gap this time. No, it's still not fast enough here. We see Tian Racer fast, reliable, is going into the turns, and Udebon Racing trying to follow, but unfortunately speed seems not to be enough. Let's focus on the whole racetrack now and see, oh, here's the critical situation again for Tian Racer. There's something wrong in this section. I'm not sure what your algorithm is trying to do here, because your car is going very fast in the other sides of the track. We saw a little bit drifting in the last turns from Tian Racer here, but the car is still going fast. So this is the last round. We still have both cars on the track. No one crashed so far. We see Tian Racer in the lead, increasing the gap to Udebon Racing. And this is the critical section. Let's see what is Tian Racer doing now. Are they crashing again, or no, they can stabilize the car this time. And now it's only 2 more turns left for Tian Racer for being the new virtual F1TENTH champions. Congratulations from my side. You took home the win in this year's F1TENTH virtual Grand Prix. Let's have a look at the final round. Unfortunately for Rail versus HM car, we don't have enough time, but Rail versus HM car, we saw a tie in the first 2 races. When HM car is in the back, they causing a collision and wins the other one. And the tiebreaker, HM car again is causing a collision against Rail, and therefore Rail wins this bronze match and is taking home the 3rd place in this F1TENTH virtual Grand Prix. Thank you very much for participating. That's first of all, because I know it's a lot of time you people spend on that, and you provided us a very, very exciting and interesting race this year. So again, we have the podium, Team Rail from Kwangwon University. We have Donchi Liu, we have Yeongjong Yeon, and we have Changwan Han, and I'm congratulating you for the 3rd place. Unfortunately, the applause is just virtual this time. I hope the people in the chat can give you a big congrats. Team Rail, if you're here, would you like to have a comment? Leave a comment, thank everyone, or just give a short introduction to your code and how you took home the 3rd place.
Thank you. Our approach selects the point which has highest score with the gap between the near LiDAR's points and the distance between the LiDAR point and the vehicle. After that, the LiDAR points were divided into left and right based on the selected point. Second, we choose the new point located in front of a vehicle and find the LiDAR point closest from the generated point in each side. Then the center point of the 2 points was selected as the target point. According to the rotating steering angle, the input gain was changed. As a result, it became an algorithm that avoided obstacles.
Okay, yeah, I think that seems like to be a reliable approach, and that brought you almost into the Vinhali and to place number 3. Congratulations to that. Then we have, thank you very much for this small comment. Then we have Team Udebon Racing from University at Buffalo. We have Kartik Dantu as the team lead. You see him here on the picture on the left. We have Steve Kurtz-Lewis, we have Harriet Barn, we have Rishi Vedula, and we have Mukesh Chaudhary. So, Team Udebon, are you here to give a short comment on your second place? Unfortunately, TN Racer was a little bit too fast for you.
Yep. So it was fun competing in the competition since it's our first time.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with it. So our algorithm is basically VFH and a hybrid of reactive gap following. So we process the LiDARs into sectors, and from that decide which sector we want to go into. And it's a little bit slow when it's like crushed into some gaps. So
that's totally fine. I think for your first race, you came up with an approach that is fast and is reliable and is avoiding maybe the other obstacles and giving you the advantage to move into the finale. And I probably, you promise us to be part in the next race, right? And maybe this time taking home the big win. Thank you very much for this small comment. But the big winners today are Team Tian Racer. Again, congratulations, virtual applause for Tianbot Robotics. You see here a picture of happy autonomous driving developers. We have Tianbo as the team lead. We have Yun Yuan, we have Wang Jintai, we have Yanfei Zhang, we have Tangqi Wang, we have Hu Waihan Wu Gengchuan, Yuxing Zhang, and Yu Ting, and Li Wentao. Sorry for the pronunciation. I hope I pronounced the names right. Congratulations again, Team Tian Racer. Are you here today to present a short overview of your code and how you took home the big win in this race?
I'm here. I'm Tianbo.
Hi, Tian.
Thanks, Johannes. Thanks, Hongray, Billy, right? And thanks, Dr. Haram. Yeah, I'm quite excited because we expected to be the third place. Yeah, and yeah. So I just simply explain our algorithm. We think about to train the car with the laser scan and also the ADAM data. But the yeah, so first we try to find like which data, which sensor data is related to the speed of the car, also the turning, just the two control variants, the speed and the steering angle. So we tested the 4 algorithms in the example algorithm first. So and the follow gap is the fastest. Yeah, so we try to, based on this algorithm, to develop. And so first we find that they have a steady speed for racing. Like if the angle is steering angle is too big, so they'll set it to 5, and if a normal racing is 8, speed is at 8. So we think we can simply make a speed profile, and we can get the best the gap. So in the original algorithm, they only have the angle, so we get the distance also. So based on the distance, we try to make a profile. So if you nearing a wall, so we will slow the speed, and if they're far away, so we will just speed up. And then for the qualification, we try to make a 5th degree polynomial curve fitting. So we have some curve like that. And so after that, we see that okay, a lot of teams, they have very fast speed. So we try to push to limit to the curve. So and it's quite difficult to just make a one curve fitting. So we try to make a piecewise function. So for the speed after lower than 11, so it's because just we're trying to avoid some harsh, very sharp angle crashing. So we slow it down at a lower speed. And if there's a very wide open, so we will speed up, like to try to make it to like a speed will set to 20. I think there's a fastest speed seems in the simulation environment. So, and also we have also have a second order polynomial to fitting the steering angle. Yeah, so if the steering angle is increasing, so we will decrease the speed. Yeah, so we have a curve fitting. And also we actually something we didn't do is we try to make some learning algorithm, but actually this is all done by human. Yeah. I mean it's a reinforcement learning process, but it's not automatically. Yeah,
that's something for the next race then. No, what was very interesting to see that your car is very, very fast here. And as you said, you were not one of the top 3 in the qualifying, but your code is very reliable here. Thank you very much, Tian, for being here today and for taking part in the competition. And congratulations to you and your team for taking the win. But we wouldn't be F1TENTH if we wouldn't have some very, very cool prizes. So you're not taking part for honor here. You're taking part for some cool prizes. So we are happy to hand over a Traxxas / Ultimate RC vehicle plus some battery packs and battery covers for the first place. So Tian, we will send over a car to you. We know you have a lot of those cars, but that's your prize for winning this competition. For Udebon Racing, we have a normal Traxxas Slash. That's also very, very cool. So Udebon, you can build your next F1TENTH car on that or just race alone. And for third place for Team Rain, we have some Traxxas battery packs and a battery cover. So that's the prices we provide for you. Afterwards, we just get in touch about the mail address and then we will send it to you. And please, all of the teams be part in the award ceremony for IROS because you are getting here your trophies and can present yourself again. Thank you very much for being here today. We are just in time. I have 3 more slides. So first of all, thank you very much for all the teams that participated, but thank you very much for our friends Michael and Jaroslav from the Czech Technical University, with whom together we organized this event and took care about all the logistics. Michael and Jaroslav made the in-person competition. Billy, Raul, and I took care about the competition, the virtual competition. So thanks again to Billy, who did all the processing and the slides. And yeah, Billy is the man who made the F1TENTH gym. So thanks, Billy, for putting that out there so we can use it. And thanks to Raul for the support all over the F1TENTH. Last but not least, there's a big, big, big thank to our friends from Riders, especially to Kubilai, who did an almost all-nighter with his team because we had some struggle with the evaluation of the code. His colleague Ali, Kubilai, I'm not sure if you're here today. I don't have pictures from the other teammates. And thanks to Bazaar, who offering the Riders platform for us to use in this competition. We really, really appreciate that because it saved us a lot of time. It gave the teams a very cool platform to submit their code, to evaluate their code, to see their code. And we hope that we can establish that relationship into the future and move on to next events in the next year. Last but not least, as promised, you have access to all the video logs. If you're interested how your car did in particular or want to see that, please go to GitHub. You can download the logs here. Thank you very much for being here today. We're finishing just in time, and thanks for this awesome competition. See you next year at CPS or ICRA 2022. Thank you and goodbye.
Hey, Johannes.
Hi.
Could I ask, so